All right, y'all, today we're going to talk about the relationship between America and China. Because right now you have a lot of people saying America is this and China is that. And then you have people saying China is this and America is that. And we need China. America needs China and China needs America. Like, what I want to do today is I want to just talk to you about the dynamic between these two powerhouse countries. We gotta know this, y'all, right? And this is not coming from a pro-America, anti-China. I am pro-America because I live here, but it's also important that we just understand the dynamic of how this thing goes. America and China are the two powerhouse countries in the game. America has been in power since World War II. China has been an up-and-coming country for a long time. Now, here's the thing. They have had their reign before, and they've went through different type of communist parties, right? But they've been through a huge rebuilding process, restructuring process, and so they've always been like right there by us on our tails, right? Now, the thing about America is America came in power around right after World War II. And we became this global superpower. And like right after that, in that era, what happened was America after World War II became the big dog, right? The Constitution was laid out. All the big dogs got together and said, you know what? Y'all got it. And at that time, the reason why that happened was because we came together as a nation and build everything needed to go to war. We were a super manufacturer. We talking Ford, we talking everything. You remember at one time in America, like having a Ford was the thing. Being American made was the thing. We were manufacturing more stuff in America than ever before. We were that country. And so what happened around that time, and no other countries actually had the power to do the things that we did. And so those countries put tariffs on their goods and services, but we had so much money, it didn't matter. You know how when you got a whole bunch of money, you be like, man, I ain't tripping, man, I buy that, man. Man, I don't even look at the price, man, I got that, man. You know what I'm saying? And so companies couldn't compete with us. Just real talk. They just couldn't compete with us. And so what happens is over time, think about this, then we start just like buying cars and buying things, you know, all out. And what happens is as we got so big, we started getting this deficit, right? It's over just, not overnight, but over time, we start getting this deficit, we start getting bigger. And no president start to restructure the tariff situation. Now, till this day, America is still essentially the big dog. Now, why are we the big dog? We're the big dog because one, our currency, 100%, is the most used currency in the world. It is a reserve currency. And all of the countries around agreed to this treaty that American dollar was the thing. Go look up a thing called the petrodollar. It means that you cannot buy oil in no other currency but American currency. Now, China and Russia said, nope, we gonna do something else. We got something else going on over it. Because remember, it's always a beef to be number one, y'all. It's always a beef to be number one. What happens is, as America start accumulating all this, start doing so much stuff, they start getting these tariffs. As you start to grow, what you start doing is you start putting out bonds. So what bonds allow other countries to do is not just invest in our stock market, but they get to invest into the growth of America. So what we do is we let people buy our bonds and then we pay that debt, but we use that to grow things in America. One of the things that happens in the world is trade, meaning you're good at this, you're good at that. So like I'm from New Orleans, so they may do something good in the 9th ward, they may do something good in the 7th ward, they may do something good in the 8th ward, they may do something good in across the canal, they may do something good in the east, and every ward does something really good that they are really, really, really good at. And I'm gonna use this for example, right? So let's say this is the 7th ward. They may be good at selling dessert, right? And then let's say this is the 8th ward. They may be good at selling chicken. And then it's the 9th ward. They may be really good at selling po' boys. And then this is the 10th ward. And they may be really good at selling burgers. We'll just put burgers. Right, and then I'm here, like I'm from Mid-City, right? And then we may be really good at, because we had a hot sauce place there when I was coming up, hot sauce, right? So everybody is really good at selling something. So what we try to do is we try to say, hey, the 8 wall say, hey, I'll sell you this chicken. So everybody know they're gonna go to the 8 wall to get chicken. And then in the 7 wall, they good at dessert. So everybody know to go to the 7 wall to get dessert. Now what happens is the 7 wall say, hey, I'm the biggest ward, because the 9 wall the biggest ward. So the 7 wall may say, hey, I'm gonna charge a 9% tariff on everybody that come here and get my goods. So the people in the 9 wall come get it, they come get it, and they sell it back to their country, right? And then we say, everybody says this. So everybody has a price on what they do really good. And so because we want to get that good, it's a luxury to have that good in my ward. I'm gonna pay them, and once I go to here, which is the borders, right? That's customs. Once I go to customs, I gotta pay customs to get that good and bring it back here. And you gotta pay customs to get my good from me and bring it back to you. Did that make sense? Okay. Now, let's go a little further with that. All right, so as we go a little further with that, here's what happens. Because we said, you know what? I want something from everybody. Right? I want the most from everybody, because we growing and we the big dog, and yeah, this is what we gonna do. Right? And nobody don't want to go to war with us, because y'all know how we get down. That's America. You know what I'm saying? That's America. And so what happens is, over time, other countries start to build themselves up because of these tariffs that they got on America, and because they start to grow their economy. They start to grow their people. They start to structure themselves from the long term. So now what China did was, China started structuring themselves to be a global manufacturer. That's right. So now the whole world knows that China is the best manufacturer in the game. And what America started doing was, this is where greed started kicking in. America started saying, hey, instead of me creating this Ford all in America, I can still sell a Ford for the same price, but I can go to China. I can go to Mexico, because America gets most of their car goods from Mexico. It costs $6 an hour to get a car built in Mexico. So what happens is, American company may get some doors made here, but they may get majority of the components from another country. We only make 15% of the goods that we use in America. Everything else out the country. Now, here's the thing. China is not our biggest dealer. Mexico is. Mexico, Canada, China are the big three that we go to, then Europe. But China, we are their biggest purchaser. Watch this right here. But China is the 3rd biggest purchaser of bonds from America, right? So then there's this dope thing called the Fed, the Federal Reserve. So the Federal Reserve is an independent entity from the American government. And so what the Federal Reserve does is they print the money. That's right. They print the money. They in control of the interest. They buy assets. They buy, which is stocks. They do all kinds of things, but they hold the majority of America's debt. The next one is the pension funds and the institutions, which is the Goldman Sachs, the JP Morgan, your 401ks, right? But then when it comes to out the country, you got Japan, and then you have China. Japan holds $1 trillion. China holds $780 billion. Now, watch this. This is going to be really good. Along the journey, Japan, who we bombed before, right? And China, who we've been sneak dissing, they've been sneak dissing, we allowed them to purchase our bonds. Now, watch this. This is interesting. Everybody always says, well, Trap, what if China sells all our bonds, then we screwed? Well, it's not that simple. Here's one of the things that happened. China sees that America is growing. Everybody wants to be the big dog. So they start positioning themselves as the manufacturer. So a lot of countries start to do what? A lot of our stuff, they start to go to what? China and build. Now it's India, but they're going to China, they're going to China, they're going to China, they're going to China. So here's what happens. China buys our bonds. Now, the thing about that is this. Yes, China could sell our bonds. They could sell them. But if China sold our bonds and got the money back, guess what it would do? It will 100% hurt America, but it will also hurt China. Why? Because it would increase, two things will happen. One, they would get the money, it would increase the yuan, but two, watch this, because they own so much of the bonds, as they buy the bonds, watch this, the other parts of the bonds will start to do what? Decrease in value. Because the more bonds that you sell back to America, you now change the bond, what the bond is worth. So it may go from 4.6, let's just say it's at 4.6. If you start selling them back, cashing them out, the bond gonna drop. And now your bonds become cheaper, so you actually lose money. It's a crazy relationship that they have. And Trap, why does that increase the yuan? Because you got more money. Now, here's where that hurts China. Because China may have more money, guess what happens? Now it becomes more expensive to do what? Get stuff made in China, which goes against everything that China wants to do. So what China does is, China always does what? Devalue its currency. Now, this is war tactics that you see going on. I'll show you exactly how that happened. Remember when Trump put the tariffs on China, the big dog tariffs, right? China, we had a bond auction that same day. China didn't buy no bonds, but yet that night, what did China do? China's currency went down to what? 18-year low. They could have stopped that, but they didn't stop it. Why didn't they stop it? It was a way for them to combat and fight the tariff. They wanted to stay, hey, we cheap, y'all. Y'all can still come here and do business because we cheaper than everybody. So they still kept the Chinese yuan at an attractive price. If you don't believe me, just go listen to it. This is just helping us understand what's going on. So the thing about America and China is they're in such a odd relationship. The relationship they're in is so odd, right? They don't like each other, but yet the thing they need is the money. Now, the worst thing that can happen is we actually go to war, then something serious breaks. But what we also need to know as Americans is, it's not so much that China needs us. It's not so much that we need China. We actually need each other. Here's why. They're the biggest manufacturer. We're the biggest consumer. We pride ourselves as Americans in doing what? Spending that bread, buying luxury goods, making that money. Now, one of the things America did that was really bad was they allowed China to buy 300,000 acres of land. China owns 300,000 acres of land in America. And watch this. I found this out, y'all. 1/3 of the land is close to military bases. Now that is a problem. That right there is a problem. I don't know what the hell America was thinking on that, but I'm gonna tell you what they was thinking. When you got a $30 trillion deficit, when you got a $20 trillion deficit, when you got a deficit like that, you start buying stuff and you start letting things take place so you can pay down that deficit. And so now Donald Trump is in this awkward position, and I'm saying this as a person from America, where he has an idea. I will say this, I do agree with the idea that he has. I totally disagree with the method, because I've been said it. We cannot stay a superpower if we are outsourcing the things that we need to be great. So one of the things that I'll say is bad is the mass tariff idea. Here's why. Because you put friend and foe in one category. The best thing to do, again, I've never had to run a country before, so I don't understand the pressure and I don't understand his negotiating tactics. Maybe not my best thing to do. I'm a street dude. I done made some negotiations, but never on this scale. And when you're in that seat, you think different. You know what I'm saying? So my thing would have been simple. See who our biggest trade partners are. China, Mexico, Canada. All of the other countries really Not that, like Vietnam, they only have a $200 billion, they have right at a $300 billion GDP. They can never buy all the goods. In all the countries that we have these 10% tariffs on, all the ones that really matter to us is, watch this, Europe, Canada, Mexico, China, India. That's what matters. Those matter right there. And you might have put Japan in there. Those are who matters. So these are the people that we really need to cut a deal with, right? Canada sells us oil that they can't use. We turn right back around and sell it to them at a cheap price. That's cool. EU actually just makes better cars than America. There's no way around that. And Mexico actually helps us get a lot of cheap labor as well. China, we do a lot of our manufacturing with that. India is a great hub that's growing. They next level right there. Japan, I haven't done enough homework yet to give y'all exactly what we get from them all the way. But that's what we want to do to deal with. So when you start talking to people like Vietnam, you start talking to people like Cambodia, you start saying people, you know what I'm saying? Like, this not really, the 10% there don't really matter. These are the people we really gotta make sure we do the deal with. So here's what you do. You go to each one of these countries and say, listen, yo, we gotta renegotiate, y'all. Y'all making a killing on us with bread, but we understand that y'all don't have, think about this, we're $1 trillion companies in America. The biggest company in Europe was Louis Vuitton, Moet and Hennessy, LVMH, and then it got overtook by another company named Novo Nordisk. It was only what? $600 billion. Guess what? At $600 billion in America, you're not even in the top 6 countries. Richest, you're not even the top 6 richest companies in America, right? So I want you to just understand that. You feel what I'm saying? So China and America have this weird relationship where, you know, it ain't that we bigger than China. It ain't that China bigger than us. It's that we have to figure out a way to come up with a fair deal for each country, because they not gonna budge, we not gonna budge. You know Trump ain't gonna budge. You know Xi Jinping ain't gonna budge. So we gonna sit there. There's gonna be a stalemate. The art of the deal, in my opinion, would be to go there, somebody, because neither one of them ain't gonna do it. So the friend that know a friend that know each other gonna have to do it. Hey, bro, y'all come sit down. Let's talk about this, bro. Because here's why. China, you don't want to collapse your economy. America, we don't want to all the way collapse our economy, because that becomes hard for the people. We got to find a way, yes, restructure the tariffs 100%, so everybody not making a killing off us like that. But also, the best deal is not when you win everything, is when both parties compromise, right? And so that is the crazy delusional relationship between America and China. We need China. China needs us. We're their biggest consumer. We get so much stuff from them, right? And if we can get a deal going, man, it'll be amazing. But that's my idea, man. It's your boy, the Wall Street Trapper, man. I just want to break that down. I hope that you all learned something from me just now in the moment. My goal is to always give you facts, not truth, because truth can be altered depending on the person. I try to give you the facts because the numbers and the information does not lie. People do, man. So I want us to get out of emotion and pay attention to this game and how this game go, man. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and shut us to somebody, man. It's your Wall Street Trapper. Salute.